Happy Thanksgiving. I'm Michael Craig. Wanted to share with you why Thanksgiving is so important to me. Everything I needed to know I learned from Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving special. Not only did I learn that holiday tradition began in 1621 between the Pilgrim English Christians and the Wampanoag Indians, but I learned that it should be celebrated in the same spirit and faith today. If only we could be modeling their same tolerance and acceptance that they had for one another. Even though they came from worlds apart, they couldn't be more different, the Indians and the Pilgrims. Their backgrounds, their culture, their doctrines, their language. And yet they managed to come together that first October and give thanks in a feast and celebration, which now has become our national holiday, thanks to Abraham Lincoln. And they gave thanks to God for, or in the Indians' case, to a higher power for the abundance of blessings, the material blessings that He had provided for them, their food. And there was one exception, though, an Indian named Squanto. And he came out of the woods for the first time to meet the Indians with his friend Somerset, and he spoke to them in perfect British English. Not only that, they were shocked enough, but he was friendly, and come to find out he was a Christian. They had not converted him. They had never met him before. There were no other colonists around. How did this happen? Well, they soon learned his story, and what a story it is. He was kidnapped. He was enslaved by English fishermen, traders, and took him to the south of Spain, sold him at a slave market. Fortunately, he was bought by Catholic monks who treated him well, who trained him in many academic studies, taught him Catholicism and Spanish. After 5 years, he became homesick and lonely, was hoping to go back to New England to see his family and tribe. He wanted to share the good news he had found himself. They figured the only way they could get him there was to put him on a ship to Old England first. And so they fixed him up with a devout Protestant family in London, where he spent another 5 years learning even more academic studies, English, and even more about the Bible. Finally got on a ship back to New England, only to find out that his family and tribe and village had been completely wiped out, not directly by Europeans, but possibly indirectly by a pandemic that wiped him out. Well, he was despondent, probably suicidal, went out in the woods for weeks, questioning God, asking God, why? Finally was adopted by the Wampanoags, and they introduced him to the Pilgrims, and that's how this whole story came about. That Squanto was used by God, kind of like Joseph was in Egypt, to help save that early Pilgrim community. It would have probably never survived if it wasn't for the help of Squanto, teaching them how to fish and hunt and grow crops even better than they knew how. So that's what we want to remember this Thanksgiving holiday, giving thanks to God who gives us our material blessings here in America in abundance, and not to forget the good things we have here, and especially the liberties that we pray will continue. Thanks for joining me. I'm Michael Craig.